Weston is one of these fans right here that he's not concerned. He believes 2022 was a fluke. I don't know that it was a fluke.
No, I think one of the things that I've kind of heard. Obviously, this isn't something that's floating around, but I think there was, particularly on the defensive side of the ball, I think there was an element of surprise and shock about just how, and I don't want to say bad, but comparing Oklahoma standards on the defensive side of the ball where the talent was. So I don't know that Venables and the staff had a full grasp, and you probably wouldn't, but had a full grasp of how much of a struggle it was going to be, last year on the defensive side of the ball. And so now you've got that recruiting class, and then you've got last year's, and then you've got this year's recruiting class that was top 5, and hopefully you got some guys that have been able to buy in to exactly what to exactly what they're looking to do, and be that much more successful. And the fact of the matter is, on the defensive side of the ball, this is one of the worst. I think you continue to say this like almost over and over every year, but I think statistically this past year was one of the worst defenses that Oklahoma has had in a long time. And I think all of us, it kind of came as a shock, because as we learned later that Nebraska was not a great football team last year. But I think after that Nebraska game, to conclude the non-conference, a lot of us watching, and then a lot of people nationally thought, okay, this is going to be a lot better and a much improved defense, and it just wasn't. It continuously got worse, and there were some buy-in issues and things like that. So again, I think there was a little bit of both. I think there's some questions about buy-in, and then there's some talent there, and so it kind of remains to be seen on both sides of the ball. This roster isn't where it was when Riley was there. It's on both sides of the ball. There's some retooling and restocking that needs to happen for for this program to be successful. And I don't know how quick of a fix it'll be. They've brought some great kids in from the transfer portal that I think is going to help them immediately on the defensive side of the ball. And then they've got some young kids on the offensive side as well. So I think this has the opportunity to be a much better team in 2023 here. But how much better, it kind of remains to be seen. This isn't a big, in my opinion, right now, looking at this roster, this is probably not a Big 12 championship caliber team, but it can be. I think it depends on if all of these if all of these kids really mesh and buy in. They have the opportunity to potentially be there, but there's got to be a lot of um, improvement on both sides of the ball. And I think the one thing that you can take, Mark, as a little bit of a silver lining. And I can't remember off the top of my head if it was 4 games or 5 games, but there was either 4 or 5 losses that were by one possession or less. So you're 6-7 last year. You find a way to win. Let's just say 3 of those 4. Then you're looking at an 8-4 or 9-3 type of season. So they need some things to go their way in certain situations as well.